Today we will look at the origins of the evolutionary theory. So this is a quotation from a very famous evolutionary biologist, Dobzhansky, who said that nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution. So it is very important to have proper understanding of evolution in order to fully appreciate biology. At the same time, a curious aspect is that most people, meaning educated people, they think that they understand fully evolution, whereas the reality is that they have a very limited understanding of evolution, and so they are often prone to misinterpretation and misunderstanding of various biological phenomena, and thereby highlighting the need or importance for having a proper understanding of evolution. So what is evolution? It may be defined as the change that happens between generations within a population. So Darwin had defined it as descent with modification, meaning how the properties of the organisms change as they get transferred from one generation to the next generation due to the evolutionary forces acting on the population. Harrison had defined evolution as change over time via descent with modification. So as the genotype of the organisms are being transferred from the parental generation to the next generation, the genotype is getting changed to some extent due to the evolutionary forces acting on it, and thereby the phenotype of the next generation is slightly different from the parental generation, and thereby the character of the population as a whole is changing, and thereby the species also is changing, and it's a dynamic entity that keeps changing through evolutionary time. And its proper understanding of evolution is necessary through properly understanding the theory of natural selection, because as proposed by Darwin and Wallace, because that is the first proper workable explanation that has been proposed for understanding evolution. So Darwin and Wallace were not the first ones to give up any kind of theory for understanding evolution. So since ancient times, various Greek philosophers have proposed various kinds of theories about evolution, like Thales proposed the aquatic marine origin of life, and then Anaximenes gave a theory about abiogenesis, that living beings can arise from non-living matter, which was later proved to be false, and the theory of biogenesis became the predominantly accepted view, that is, living beings can only arise from pre-existing living beings. And then Xenophanes gave another idea about fossils being the remnants of organisms living in the past. And Empedocles gave idea about theory of spontaneous generation, and then higher forms evolve gradually from the lower forms, imperfect forms being replaced by perfect forms, plants coming first, animals coming later, and the imperfect forms getting extinct and the perfect forms surviving in time. So some of these ideas, of course, are true, but some of them are later on found not to be holding any kind of truth in them, not having any evidence in favor of them. Aristotle also gave the idea of the gradual transition of the perfect forms starting from the imperfect forms, and he also gave rise to the idea of the ladder of life, that is, the organisms who are more simpler are arranged at the lower parts of the ladder, and the organisms having more complex kind of body structure, they are at the upper rungs of the ladder, and at the top he placed humans, because he believed that humans were the ones who were closest to God. So of course later on, as we came to have a proper understanding of evolution by natural selection, we know that this ladder of life kind of concept is incorrect, but it's somehow has persisted in the cultural memory and is still believed by some people till this day. So next time we will look at what were the contributions of Lamarck towards understanding evolution.